co-host, Coach Ralph. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, Salim. Doing well, thanks. Doing well down here in South America right now.
Coach, interesting game yesterday.
Newcastle, yes. Yeah, it was a very good game. It was a very good game. Maybe not the result that we wanted, but it was a good watch. And from a Liverpool perspective, a much improved second half after a disappointing first half, but maybe not too unexpected given good opposition and maybe a little bit of a letdown after such a big week.
Yeah. Coach, the scoring got started right away with Isak with an absolute thunderbolt to the top corner. I don't think any goalie in the world saves that one.
No. It was a fantastic goal, and Isak and Anthony Gordon were a constant threat up front for Newcastle. So yeah, I mean, like there's no complaints.
The second half got our scoring started with Curtis Jones, an assist from Mo Salah. A nice little goal to kind of get things rolling, and then Anthony Gordon scores 12 minutes later to put Newcastle back up. But that little stretch of play there, it's amazing how Salah just keeps doing it. I said it last week, but as we're kind of going to dive into this game a little bit deeper, he's just popping up at the right times and he's making plays. I mean, Curtis Jones is coming alive. He's coming into his own. He's maturing as a footballer. I mean, probably as a person as well, as he has a baby at home. So maybe things are in a different perspective for him. Coach, what do we have to say about Mo Salah just continuing to do things? Because after that goal, Mo Salah scores twice to put us ahead. And then Fabian Schär, I read your write-up about it as well. Kelleher, maybe made a misjudgment, and the game ends 3-3. But what else can we say about Mo Salah? I mean, he's unbelievable. He's scoring, he's assisting, he's all over the place, he's popping up. It just seems every goal that we create, it's created by him, whether he assists it or scores it.
Yeah, you just can't deny the impact of the player. I mean, at St. James's Park, he had a pretty anonymous first half, and in fact, the few times that he did get the ball, I thought he was pretty wasteful with it, and there was one opportunity where he was put through centrally, just inside the box, and his touch was poor. But then somehow, some way in the second half, he comes alive. A good setup for the Jones goal, and then a quick fire double to equalize and put the Reds back in front. And you just can't deny what the guy does. It's just, you just can't keep him down ultimately.
Coach, the last goal by Fabian Schär, I mean, I think if that play happens 100 times, I think he scores twice maybe on that exact type of play. I mean, that was kind of a fluky type of touch there and a very tight angle. Can you talk about that one a little bit?
Well, I think there's two things about the equalizing goal. I mean, obviously from a Liverpool point of view, it was disappointing because it looks like we were on the road to 3 points at a difficult place to play at, and after a first half performance where we'd been outplayed. But number one, I think you've got to give credit to Schär because he kept going. I mean, it was a difficult ball. He not only kept it in, but he got the ball on target. And I've not really heard anybody give him any credit for that. I mean, I just thought it was a really good play. And I know that if a Liverpool player had done that, we'd be all over them with praise. So I think that's the first thing that you've got to say. I mean, from a Newcastle perspective, Fabian Schär did tremendously well. Second of all, I'm very annoyed to hear some Reds really giving Keller a hard time, because he's come in. Liverpool have been on a great run, and that's not an easy situation for a backup goalkeeper to come into psychologically, because if things start going awry, then he's going to be looked at probably one of the first people, because he's a backup, or he's behind one of the best keepers in the world. But he's been phenomenal. I mean, he's been consistent. We've started to think, some of us, well, how can we drop him? And I could see what he was thinking. I mean, because he could have caught the ball, definitely. And he looks like he's going to catch it, and then he takes his hands away and he thinks it's drifting out of play. So maybe 9 times out of 10, that's what's happened. And so that's why you do have to give Schär some credit, because he kept the ball in play and he kept the ball on target, and it was an equalising goal. So I felt sorry for him from that perspective, and a lesson for him to learn. But when I hear the criticism, I mean, I can think of several occasions, like Arsenal last year. I can think of, I think it was the season that Liverpool won the championship, Alisson trying to dribble in the box and getting caught by, might have been Vardy, or it was certainly one of the Leicester players. So all goalkeepers make mistakes, and a goalie mistake usually means a goal, and sometimes they can be critical, and so this lost Liverpool 2 points. But I would give it 50% judgment of error and 50% credit to Schär. So I think beyond that, I think we leave it for what it was and what it is, and we move on to the next game.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to watch the full game, but I did go back and watch the highlights from several different options, and it seems like it was a fair score line at the end of the day.
Oh, yes, yeah. Ultimately, I don't think that we can complain and say that Newcastle were lucky. If Liverpool had have held on to the win, I think that Newcastle fans and Eddie Howe and company would feel aggrieved, because they'd played well, and in the first half they'd been on top. If Liverpool had won, and I think this is something still to be pleased about, is the way after an iffy first half, all of a sudden the team was transformed in the second half. So that's down partly to the manager and then to the players, because overall in the second half Liverpool had the edge. Although it's not to say that Newcastle still didn't threaten, because, as I noted earlier, Isak and Gordon were a constant threat up front.
Yeah, Gordon's goal was really nice. I mean, he made mincemeat out of the defense there, and sometimes you got to tip your hat, and like you're tipping your hat to Fabian Schär. I think all 3 goals really. Isak's thunderbolt, Gordon, nice play in the box. It is what it is, and we're still up 8 points, I believe. So
no, seven.
Is it 7?
Points, 7 points, and I mean, looking at the performance overall, I think one thing, and it was in both halves of the game, I thought Liverpool's defence looked square at the back a lot, and Newcastle certainly exposed that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people kind of question Quansah at right full back. And it's interesting. I thought he was okay in some respects, and then in others, maybe he struggled a little bit. I think the Manchester City game, where he came on late, was a totally different situation, because he came into a game, that Liverpool was winning, they were on top, the crowd was behind them, and he didn't have a long stint at fullback.
Mm-hmm.
So he did well in that game. I think 90 minutes posed more issues for him. And Anthony Gordon was a live wire on the left, as we thought he could be. And I thought he did okay with him one-on-one. But he didn't offer as much going forward, which I guess we might expect. And overall, maybe Gomez didn't play quite as well as he did against Manchester City. And Liverpool's defence, obviously, all of a sudden you realise just how good that Konate was.
Yeah, and not having Connor Bradley and bringing in Trent in the second half, obviously that kind of got things moving as well. But it's injuries are going to happen. We've had injuries. All teams get injuries, and it's just how you manage them. And it seems like we're pretty lucky that Konate, it's nothing too serious, and Connor Bradley, it's nothing too serious. I'm reading that they'll be back next week or the week after, which is nice to hear. So on to Everton, Coach. Big one, the Merseyside derby.
Yeah, I mean, Everton, even though they've been struggling, Everton's always going to be a tough game. It's a derby. And they've clearly had a big boost because, they hadn't scored through the month of November. And they had that difficult game at Old Trafford last weekend, where apparently they played well for the first half an hour, but once they went behind, then they kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
But they've had the boost. I mean, I thought they might struggle against Wolves, particularly with Cunha on form. But hey, a big win. And all of a sudden, they have this rise coming into the Liverpool game. And I think one thing that's going to be key for tomorrow is the weather, because apparently there's a big storm going through Merseyside today and tomorrow with high winds and rain. And I think that's something that'll probably favour the Blues over the Reds. So I think that's going to have an effect on the match for sure.
Yeah, that match was interesting because there were 2 own goals, but they were kind of harsh, I think. The ball was put in good spots, and I forget the name of the defender who Greg Dawson, I think it was.
Dawson, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Dawson.
So, but 4 goals are 4 goals, and a clean sheet's a clean sheet. And you're right. This if they took another 4, if it was the other way, a 4-0 drubbing from Wolves after a Man U drubbing, maybe their heads are a little low coming into this game. But you're right. Now that they've won a game, they've scored some goals. The Merseyside derby's next against Liverpool. So yeah, they'll be up for it for sure. Coach, as far as the starting lineup, now that you mentioned kind of the weather, that's kind of
well, there's another fact as well, actually. Also, the fact that it's the last game at Goodison. So,
of course, yeah.
So I think that puts another layer on the match because, of course, they're moving to Bramley Dock next season. So yeah, there's kind of lots of undercurrents to the game, and if we're going on to the starting team, I think that what'll happen, I think Trent will start for sure. I think Trent will start with Gomez, Van Dijk, and Robertson. McAllister is suspended as he is for the European Champions League game as well. So so he's getting a week's rest, which maybe is not a bad thing for him. So logically, I think that Szoboszlai, McAllister, and who's the third one?
Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Jones.
Yeah. He took Gravenberg off. So yeah, Gravenberg, I think he was trying to give him a rest. So that is the likely starting 3. And sad to say that Darwin Núñez had a poor game at Newcastle. You know, I like Núñez. You know, I like Núñez, but he did have a poor game, so I think he's likely to start on the bench, which means that it'll be Salah, Diaz, and oh God,
Cody Gakpo. I hear you.
So anyway, I think that'll be the starting three, and then we kind of go from there. What Everton will do, I think there's a couple of things are predictable, and I'm wondering whether Sean Dyche might, given what he did against Wolves, try to throw a couple of spanners in the works. You know, do things that aren't anticipated. So what would we anticipate playing Everton? That they'll probably be sitting in to some degree, tight at the back, physical, direct, set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks. They will really go for it. They will go for it big time. And I think it's fair to say that without Konate, from what we saw at St James's Park, Liverpool did look vulnerable all of a sudden without Konate there, because they'd look very secure. So I think that that's something that they will relish. I think the two things which kind of might change the narrative, because listening to the radio a lot on Merseyside, the constant thing that I hear about Everton all the time is Sean Dyche is too conservative. He won't do anything different. And it feels like he maybe tried to be a little more progressive against Wolves, and it paid dividends. So might he gamble and maybe the first 10 minutes really try to go for it, particularly with the weather being iffy? I mean, because Liverpool were very lethargic in the first half against Newcastle.
Yeah.
And Newcastle pressed extremely well. And I mean, I don't know whether Everton are one of the more efficient teams when it comes to pressing, but physically competing and putting the opposition under pressure, I think that they can do that by playing direct, competing hard, looking for the second ball. And I wonder if Dyche might have the confidence to tell his team to go do that. The other wild card thing is they have Armando Broja on loan from Chelsea. And he's not been able to play so far because of injury. And he came on for the last few minutes of the Wolves game. And he's a good player. I mean, I rate him. So I wonder whether he could be an ace that he could play later in the game and he brings something different to Everton. So whilst I think that the Blues, there'll be a lot of predictable things to the way that they set up and play, I think there is potential, especially after the Wolves game, to see a couple of new things thrown into the mix. And that obviously can make the game, you know, a little more intriguing for the neutrals, say.
Sure. One thing, Coach, you mentioned was, you know, Konate's play has been invaluable, but I'm wondering if the combination of Gomez and Kwanzaa versus if it was Gomez and Trent or Connor Bradley, if that would look a little bit different, and maybe just that pairing on the right-hand side of the pitch, it's just not a good pairing. And when you bring in Trent, Gomez will play a little bit better because maybe Trent has more confidence playing in that spot. Well, he definitely has more confidence than Kwanzaa in that spot. So my question is, do you think it was Gomez just having a bad game, or if it was just the Gomez-Kwanzaa kind of combination there on the right that was maybe more to blame than if it was just Gomez and Trent?
Possibly, but I just wonder whether it's another one of these learning situations for the manager, because
Mm-hmm.
if he's placed in the same situation again. I mean, like I heard one of the fellows from the Anfield Rap complaining, "Oh, why didn't he start Trent?"
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to look at it and say, well, Trent's been out for a while, and the manager on a slot sees him, and he sees the number of games coming up, and how he's got to manage his players. So I think I can kind of get a sense of why he didn't start Trent in that particular game. What I think he might learn is that if he's in a situation where his options are Gomez and Quansah, I think he might flip them next time and play Gomez at right fullback and Quansah in the middle.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little bit like the situation that we have noted where he learned before after the international break, and he played his South Americans against Nottingham Forest, and it kind of burned him a wee bit, and it burned the team. And so I wonder if he's ever in that situation again, he might play Quansah in the middle and Gomez at right fullback, because Gomez has played right fullback in the past. And whilst he isn't noted for attacking play, I mean, he did show signs of going forward under Klopp.
Mm-hmm.
And he can certainly cross a ball, and he's also got a good long throw. So he gives Liverpool a little more offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder, as I say, if ever that situation crops up again, whether that's the situation that we would see.
Coach, also, being a young player that has got yanked after the first half of the first game, and you have to kind of manage the confidence and make sure that you're not putting him in situations where he's not feeling comfortable, and you have to work with them. So I'm wondering if that's why he had Gomez on the inside and Quansah on the outside, just to. But then again, you got Gordon. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Well, logically, I mean, Gomez and Van Dijk were very effective against Manchester City.
Right.
So why would you fiddle with that situation? I mean, why would you mix that up? So I guess the next decision for Slot would be Trent. Okay, he did well against Manchester City. He didn't play the whole game. Do we play him for 90 minutes? We've got games coming up. Well, a whole slew of games, because not only have you got Christmas break of Premier League games, but you've got a Champions League game, and you've got Southampton in the League Cup, and so we're already short-handed. So is it worth risking playing him for 90 minutes? And so I think he probably said, well, Quansah did well when he came on against City. He was up against Doku, top player, did well. So he'll be tested. He'll be tested playing against Anthony Gordon. But as I recall, having watched the game, Gordon had more success when he came inside.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, he was a threat with Isaac up front.
So, Coach, it's nice. Okay, McAllister is suspended for the 5 yellow cards. Okay, not ideal, because I think anybody that watches soccer and understands like the intricacies of it understands how valuable he is. However, Harvey Elliott's coming back in the fold as well. So I'm wondering if he'll get some minutes to maybe spell Gravenberch, or maybe to spell Curtis Jones. But it's nice that we have Harvey Elliott coming back in the fold, and Chiesa and Jota, I don't think they'll be ready for this game.
They won't be ready.
But they're getting on the mend. So that's good. That's good that unfortunately, Konate is very valuable, and Connor Bradley's been playing very well, that those guys are out. But the fact that we're starting to get some other guys healthy is really nice. Coach, can Harvey Elliott be like a wild card in this game? Because I can see him coming in for Jones. maybe 60, 70 minutes in and really having a positive effect on the game. We know how well he played last year, and we value him as a talent.
Yeah, I think Jones is a possibility. He and Endo would be the midfield options for this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot depends on how the game is going and what kind of game it is. As I say, I'm anticipating it'll be physical.
Yeah.
So it could well be that he opts for Endo first, because even though Endo's not a big player physically, he's combative and he's experienced.
Yeah.
If he turns to Harvey Elliott, I mean, Elliott's asset coming from the benches is energy, because he has a lot of energy. Technically, he's really good. And so I think we saw many, many times last year when he would come on, and it would certainly give the team a boost because of that energy.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is that he's not played a lot recently, and the conditions won't be the greatest for his type of player, especially if the field is wet and soggy.
Yeah.
So these are kind of question marks, and we won't really know until we see how the game falls into place one way or another.
It's exciting stuff, though. This. It's gonna be an exciting game. I mean, they're always fun, and it's interesting how derbies and just like those sorts of rivalries in all sports, how you can just throw the record out the window, and it's going to be a good scrap.
Right. I mean, as you saw last year, I mean, Everton won at Goodison. It was the first victory for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And they've not had too many in the last decade. But for Everton fans, it's not just getting the victory over Liverpool. It's trying to throw a spanner in the works for the title chase and everything. And if Everton was to win or even draw, which I have to say, my instinct tells me is a likely result.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just say if Liverpool draw and the other teams win, you've gone from a week where Liverpool's 11 points ahead, and then all of a sudden, it's whittled down to what's that, like 5 or 6?
Maybe 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's why I've been saying all along that Liverpool's in a great situation, but it's way too far out to say that that they even have one hand on the league title and the trophy.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel that Liverpool's a team where you can go into every game and say, oh, well, they're definitely going to win this. And I think that if you look at the results so far this year, that's borne out. I mean, going back to Southampton, 3-2. Like Southampton's bottom of the league and been struggling. So Liverpool are a very good team. I think that we can see more of them. But I think that that they will have ups and downs, and the Everton game is, I mean, it's a tough game. It's a banana skin, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them drop points.
So you think the game's going to be a tie potentially?
Well, I think it's likely that the game will be a tie. If it comes down to an open football match, then I think 19 times out of 20, Liverpool's going to win.
Just the layers that we talked about, right? That's making you nervous about it.
Yeah, I mean, because they have too much. They have too much for Everton. I don't feel that Everton can take the game to Liverpool for 90 minutes. I mean, they might be able to come out strong from the traps and maybe try and sneak a goal and hold on to it. I think that that's a possibility, but they're not going to be able to take the game to Liverpool for 90 minutes.
If they get in that low block, what can Liverpool do to break that down and and maybe secure a couple of goals and a victory.
Well, that's where Liverpool could miss McAllister, actually, because he's very good at, poking those little passes through to players.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting, because if you actually analyse Liverpool's midfield three, Szoboszlai's a player that's going to pick up possession from pressuring more. Gravenberch can do that too. He also has good vision, Gravenberch. But if it's a low block, as you put it, it's much harder to utilize that vision because there's not as much space. Jones, you have to see it, Jones. Jones has grown a lot in confidence, because my criticism of him tended to be he holds on to the ball too long. And he seems to be able to hold on to the ball longer now and make space for himself at the same time, which is a sign of a good player. And it's a sign of a player that's coming of age, as it were.
Yeah.
So what can he offer, in terms of his passing and things like that? I'm not quite sure yet, because I haven't seen so much of that in his game. As I say, he's better on the ball. He's grown more confident in that respect, and he's picking up a goal or two as well, which is good to see. It was a very good goal he scored against Newcastle.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
What his ability to pass and to pick holes in a defense that's sitting back, that remains to be seen.
Yeah. Well, it's an early one for me. It's 5:30 in the morning. But I'll be up ready to go. The first half will probably be in the earbuds, so I don't wake up my family. But as my family wakes up, the volume will go up, and we'll all be cheering. Coach, thanks as always for all your insight. Everybody, please subscribe. We are going to do a lot more video. We're obviously doing live streams. We'd love to have you guys join us in the live streams and comment on everything. Tell us what you think the scores of the game will be. And thank you as always for listening.
Okay,
everybody, take care.
Yeah.